How's it going, guys? My name is Tavarish, and today I'm going to bust a myth that's been around for far too long. You see, ever since it became possible to buy a car online, people have been saying that the era of the barn find is over. Stumbling upon an awesome car in a field or a garage somewhere is next to impossible. But to challenge that, I just bought a low-mile, highly optioned, exotic sports car that had been abandoned in a garage for the last 3 years. Oh, and this one has a better power-to-weight ratio than a Bugatti Veyron. So, to everybody saying that finding a car like this is impossible, stop. So if you guys are new to my channel, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoy it. And consider subscribing and hit that bell if you like what you see. This is a 2001 Porsche 911 Turbo. And it's not just any 911 Turbo. This one's broken. It doesn't work. This car also represents the 996, which is the most hated, most controversial version of the 911 with its runny egg headlights and sacrilegious water cooling. I mean, it begs the question, what were Porsche thinking? But after spending some time with my 996, I think I found the answer, and that is Porsche wanted to make the best sports car in the world, and I think they did. You see, Porsche has been making the 911 since the dinosaurs roamed the earth, but my opinion is that no 911 has been as forward-thinking, as revolutionary, and evolutionary as this car has. This serves as a blueprint for every single 911 to come afterwards. And to show you exactly how far we've come, today's sponsor, Omaze, gives you the chance to win your very own brand new Porsche 911.
So if you guys haven't heard of Omaze, they're an awesome organization that give you the chance to win your dream car or dream experience, while at the same time donating to a great cause. Donate $10 and you're entered for the chance to win a beautiful 2020 Porsche 911 Carrera 4S Cabriolet, which is the spiritual successor to my 996, plus $20,000 in the trunk. And every donation supports the Dempsey Center, which is committed to making life better for people managing the impact of cancer, including cancer patients, survivors, caregivers, and family members of all ages. So for your chance to win this 2020 Porsche 911 4S Cabriolet plus $20,000 and support a great cause, enter at omaze.com/Tavarish. That's OMAZE.com/Tavarish. Go check it out right now.
So let's get into how I got this car in the first place. And usually I'd say I found it on Auto Tempest. And in this case, it's technically correct, but not in the way that you're thinking. You see, a little while ago, I had a Bentley Continental GT, and that was a huge project that spanned 2 years. I finally got it done, and in the video where I finished everything, I said, hey, I'm gonna list this car and you guys can give me offers on it. And oh boy, did I get a lot of offers. I got money offers, I got other offers I couldn't talk about, and I got a lot of offers to trade. And you can sort of guess where this is going. I didn't have to go very far to get this because this car was in a storage locker for the last 3 years, 5 minutes away from my shop, which was absolutely amazing. Now, every time I get an offer like this, I'm always really cautious because even though the car might look cool on the outset, it's always going to need more than what you think or more than what the seller is telling you, and that is definitely the case here. However, when I first put eyes on this car, when I saw it in the flesh or in the plastic or whatever this is, I did the deal right then and there because I knew that this car was special. Now let me preface this by saying that 911 Turbos on their own are very special. When this car came out in 2001, it was a game changer. It had a flat six twin turbocharged all-wheel drive with a manual transmission drivetrain, and it made about 415 horsepower. Now 415 might not sound like a lot today, but back then, a Mustang with a V8 or a Camaro with a V8 made about 100 horsepower less. And if you got the X50 performance package from Porsche, then you bumped up the power to 450, which were Viper numbers back in the day. But the most interesting thing is that 450 horsepower was just scratching the surface on this platform because the aftermarket was huge. And I don't know if you guys noticed this, but this car, is a little modified. So let's start from the front and go to the back. You can see that this car is a lot lower than stock, and that's because it has some KW V3 coilovers. That is like legitimate race car stuff. And these wheels are larger than stock because you need larger wheels to accommodate larger brakes. This is a Brembo 6-piston front, 4-piston rear set, and it has a 2-piece floating rotor. And the wheels, I don't know what the names of these are. Maybe they're HREs or something. You guys can tell me in the comments, but they look like they're 2-piece wheels. They look like they're very expensive. And the fact that there's Michelin Super Sports on here, that really means that this car was taken care of with the best parts. Now, these Michelin Super Sports have seen better days. They're dry rotted, and I believe that they're showing cords on the inside, which is no bueno, so they're gonna need to be changed. But I know that at some point in this life, this car was very, very cared for. Now, speaking of cared for, the spec of this car is really nice. Now, I am a big fan of a peanut butter interior, and it can only be made better with a blue exterior. I think that is one of the classiest colors that you can get. And the fact that this was a stock color on this car, this actually makes it very, very rare. Another thing that makes it rare is the fact that it has a 6-speed manual transmission and 49,000 original miles. So this is actually somewhat of a collector car, considering that it doesn't have any accidents, it doesn't have any salvage history, it wasn't in a fire, it wasn't underwater. This actually seems like it's a little too nice for me. Now, one thing that makes this car extremely special over any other blue on tan Porsche 911s from this era is this floor mat. And the floor mat's not special. What it says on the floor mat is a little bit special. This says GT 700, and that should give you a little bit of an idea of what's underneath that hood. So this car comes with an Evolution Motorsports GT 700 turbo kit, which includes bigger turbos, bigger intercoolers, better fuel management, better engine management, and it is one of the best things you can do to make this car a better driver, better performer. I mean, this is now essentially a half-mile runway car, and this would have no problem making 700 horsepower, other than the fact that that turbo kit is not actually on this car because it needs some work. The turbos were off the car, and they were planned to get a rebuild, but that rebuild never really happened. So I'm gonna figure out what to do with all of this, because there's a lot of stuff that's just kind of disconnected and wires everywhere. So it seems like I have my work cut out for me to fix this and make it just like it was when it was brand new, actually when it was first built. So the engine that you see here, the M96 3.6 liter flat 6 with twin turbos, the Metzger racing derived engine, that's not a 3.6 liter. This one is a 4-liter stroker, and I believe it has some custom pistons and a GT3 crankshaft. Now, I don't know if that's actually the case because I can't get any information on this. And I need as much information as I can on this car because, number one, Porsche people are insane with history and receipts and wanting to know where everything was done. And number two, I want to know if my engine is going to explode or not. So this engine is a complete mystery to me. But what I know is that this was not cheap. These cars back in the day weren't cheap. To get a 49,000 mile 911 right now, you'd probably be paying around 50 grand, and not even one with these options. That turbo kit right now is a better part of $30,000. To build an engine, a custom stroked 4-liter Metzger engine, that's another 30 grand. So add that to the wheels, the tires, the suspension, and everything else, and you're talking about $100,000 plus spent after buying this car. That's why I picked this up. Now, I don't want to stroke my ego too much. I figure that this car needs a lot of work. So we should probably find out what's going on underneath. All right, so let's get this car on the lift and in the air. Okay, now that the car is up in the air, we can check out the underbody, and I'm super curious to see what this looks like, and it's, doesn't doesn't really look like anything. Now, this was not a surprise to me. I knew that this car had a flat underbody, and that is because this is built to go very high speeds. Now, what I'm looking for is that everything is sort of where it needs to be. It doesn't look too bad over here. This can be a little bit better. It looks like it got chewed up, or looks like the bumper went into something and just broke the bottom of this, so that'll need to be addressed. Also, it looks like somebody tried to jack up the car using the trunk floor. That's not good because it's not a structural point, but the actual structural points, the mounts here that are for the differential that lives over here, that's actually not too bad. The wheels are in good condition, the tires are flat, so yeah, these need to be replaced. They are very old. I believe they're Michelin Pilot Super Sports. The brakes, these huge Brembo brakes, they're not in bad shape at all. Now, I don't have too much light because apparently I only own one light and it's over there, and I will go into what we're gonna find over there, but I'm not done here. You can see that this little duct, that actually brings air from here. This is like a little scoop. So the path of the air goes from here, goes into this scoop, and that scoop just flings the air towards the brakes. And that is a really cool design. And these things are present on both left and right. And usually in cars, these get kind of chewed up. This one's a little bit chewed up. Maybe this could be replaced, but honestly, I think we're okay there. Now, following this back down, we don't see any major damage, anything like that. This car hasn't been in any accidents, but it has had its share of shop visits. And, does that look weird to you? See, that's, it's a bit of an arch there. What I'm thinking is somebody tried to jack up the car right here, and this is not a jack point. The jack points are right here and right here. These are the strongest parts of the car. This is not a strong part of the car, and maybe you can see it better from over here. Yeah, that's not good. All right, so I'm not sure how I'm gonna deal with that. I mean, it's not gonna have any detrimental effect on how the car drives, but it just kind of looks really wonky. So let's put a pin in that. But moving further down, we'll see the issues. And actually, you see an issue right there. This car hasn't been running 3 years and it's still leaking oil. So that's not great. Also, this is missing quite a lot of things. Now, I did mention that the turbos and the manifolds, those are off the car because the turbos needed a rebuild. But to be honest, there might be some more things that need a rebuild. This is a mystery engine. And when I say mystery engine, I can't get any information about this. Not from the previous owners, actually. I went back a few previous owners and they still can't tell me anything about this engine. Apparently, it is a 4-liter stroker engine. It has a GT3 crank and pistons made by CWM. Now, I don't know if that is actually the case. I just read that on the internet somewhere. There is a forum post somewhere where it insinuates that this is the engine. However, I have no idea if that's true. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna put a borescope inside the cylinder and we're gonna take a look at the piston, and then you guys can tell me what sort of piston that is, because I've never seen it before, and I have put it on Instagram, but I wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page, at least when the video is concerned. But actually, before we do that, here is some proof that this Metzger block, it just has a lot of heritage. You see that 964? The 964 was the older version of this engine, and it was air-cooled. So the block itself is air-cooled, and the cylinder heads, these things, they are water-cooled, and you can see the water jackets right there. In addition, the cylinders themselves, these things right here, they're independent of the engine block. So in a regular engine block, you'd have the cylinders, cylinder liners, all that stuff ingrained, but here it is a bolt-on part. You can see that there's a gasket right here, and then there's a head gasket, the cylinder head gasket, and here's a cylinder head, and then you have some more cylinder head, I guess, because the valve cover is up here. So you have like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 mating surfaces on one half of this engine. So if this thing leaks oil, I mean, it is potentially your worst nightmare because it could come from anywhere. Another interesting thing is that the intercoolers are back here and they've been upgraded. These are the GT 700 intercoolers, and yeah, there's a bit of oil in these intercoolers, so that means that the turbos were good to be off this car. Now there's a few things that I could change right off the bat, and that's this. I mean, these hoses are all not great. Also, there's a lot of oil, just seepage in general, and there's a lot of oil inside the exhaust ports. Now, people that are familiar with Porsche, they'll tell me that this is normal when a car's been sitting and only been turned on for a little bit. So you'll see some oil inside the exhaust ports. It's not super wet or anything, it's fine, but actually, hold on. That is not the stock cast surface. Let me see if I can get a better angle. Oh, okay, you can see it way better here. This was polished and perhaps ported. We can definitely see that somebody's been in there with a Dremel or a grinding stone, and I'm not sure if it was done by machine or what, but this is, yeah, that is not stock. So this is a modified engine, and I mean, the fasteners here are definitely not stock. So somebody's been through this engine, and I just need to know who that somebody was. So let's figure out what those pistons look like. So take a look at this piston right here. I don't know what that is, but there is a dome, a raised dome in the middle. Don't worry about those little marks in the middle. We're just trying to find out what the stroke of this engine is, and it ended up being about 2 millimeters more than the stock stroke. But these have little reliefs for the intake and exhaust. I'm not sure if you can really see that. Yeah, you can see them at the bottom a little bit. So they have slight reliefs, and there's a raised dome. So if you guys know what this is from, then holla at your boy, because I don't know. All right, that is gonna be it for today's episode. Clearly, I have my work cut out for me because I've never worked on a Porsche like that before, and I'm very excited to see if that engine runs, if that engine is actually as modified as I think it is, and if that turbo kit makes anywhere close to 700 horsepower. It actually should make a little bit more. So you guys can let me know in the comments, or you can email me with some information about this car. I do know about some of the forum posts and stuff like that, so you don't have to send me those. But if you have any personal information, as far as, I don't want any like doxing or anything, but as far as information about the build, if you have any details, please do email me because I need to know as much as I can about this car. But as it stands, I'm extremely excited to get this thing up and going, and I think the next episode is going to be just cleaning up that paintwork. I think that paintwork is going to look brand new when I'm done with it, so stay tuned for that. But until next time, it's me reminding you guys that on cars like these that are absolutely amazing, well, at least they are in my head, you guys need to build it better, and to do that, you need to wrench every day.